this call, not only because these two ladies are powerhouses, but I have already snuck through the slides and they have content that they're going to be covering for you guys that has never been covered in any Bombshell Dynasty team call that I've ever been a part of, and I've been around for a little while. So my name is Lindsay Matway, and these two ladies happen to be two of my personally sponsored coaches. They both signed up in 2013 and have proven themselves to be incredible leaders. And I had the opportunity to get to spend a few days with them this past week at our Bombshell retreat, and they could not be more fabulous, and getting to know them even more was super special. And they happen to be one from Orlando, Florida, the other from Canada, hence the flags in the slide, which I absolutely loved. And they are going to be discussing business money makeover, how you deal with this business that you've been blessed with. And I think a lot of times we're always really intimidated with the thought of, do you LLC, or how do you manage the money, and how does the tax stuff work? And I think there's a lot of confusion about it. So these lovely ladies have put together an awesome presentation for you guys, which I'm super excited to hear myself. And so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Becca. She's a diamond coach, but honestly is about to break out into 3, 4, and even 5-star diamond. She's on the brink of incredible things with her business. And she's going to start things off. Then we're going to move over to Morgan and we'll close things out. So Becca, you want to take it away? I'll stop broadcasting.
Guys hear me at all? See me at all? Can you see me and hear me? Here, okay. Okay, some people, yes. Okay, well, I can't, so hopefully it's good and I don't look crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump, okay, frozen. Thanks. You guys can hear me though? Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started and hopefully the video up, and if not, you can hear me and that would be good. Okay, so I thought that I would start the call just by giving you a little introduction about me in case some of you guys don't know who I am. I'm Becca Robinson, and like Lindsay said, I live in Orlando, Florida, and I'm one of her personally sponsored coaches. My team is called Team BTFP, and a bunch of them are on here, so I'm feeling very loved right now. But I just wanted to give you a little background about who I am and how I got to this point. So I made this kind of funny little timeline for you. I was born in 1984, which means that, like Lindsay, I'm turning 30 this December. And in high school, I was jokingly titled most likely to be a CEO, which at the time I thought was super lame, and now I think is kind of funny and ironic that I technically am the CEO of my own Beachbody business. And then after college in 2008, I actually started a photography business, and I've been doing that ever since, even still to this day. And swiftly thereafter, in 2009, I realized that taxes and all the legal stuff that goes with starting a business can be really stressful when you're not organized. So I decided to get organized really quickly. And so that's where a lot of what I'm going to share with you is from. It's from that experience of figuring it all out the first time with my photography business, and then how I've used that knowledge to help me with setting up my Beachbody business and how you can do the same. A little bit about my story with Beachbody is that in 2012, I had a baby and I pretty much lost myself. I gained a ton of weight. I had a really hard time losing it. I was dealing with some autoimmune issues that I didn't even know that I had. And then Beachbody came into my life, and over a little bit under the course of a year, I lost a little bit over 70 pounds and was able to find myself again, kind of get my group back, get my joy back, find a new passion for my life. And I just fell in love with Beachbody coaching, with helping people thrive, not only my challengers, but also the people on my team and even people outside of my team, just business people. I have always, even before Beachbody, had a passion for helping entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs to carve out successful businesses for themselves. And so Beachbody, without me even realizing it, was a perfect fit for that passion of mine. So that brings me to today, where here I am and hopefully able to pay some of that knowledge that I learned through trial and error when I started my first business to you guys today so that you don't have to go through some of the stress. So let's jump right in. So I know that when you start as a coach, or even when you've been a coach for a little while, it can seem a little bit confusing with the business side of things. You're not quite sure which way is up. You're getting put in all these training groups and Facebook groups. You're hearing all of these terms like Success Club, EFT, Emerald, Diamond, and then you're hearing all these normal business terms that you maybe are not familiar with, like expenses and income and write-offs. How much percentages should you be saving, and what kind of forms do you need to fill out? All of that stuff. So today we're going to talk a little bit about kind of some simple things that you can do right now to kind of get in control of all that stuff and set a really firm foundation for your business as it grows. First, I want to talk a little bit about what all of you guys are as Beachbody coaches. As Beachbody coaches, you are independent contractors. And I put the link to, for all of you US coaches, I put the link to what that means for you as far as the IRS is concerned in here, so you can look that up later. For you Canadians, Morgan's going to be giving you some information that's specific to you guys in a little bit. So as an independent contractor, that just means that you work for yourself. You're self-employed. That's basically just synonyms for each other. So as a self-employed person, you have some responsibilities. As a Beachbody coach, when you get your paycheck, you may have noticed that unlike other jobs, when you work for another business and you're an employee, there's no taxes or Social Security taken out of your Beachbody check. Now, that doesn't mean that it's just a free-for-all party, that you don't have to pay those things anymore. It means that now you're responsible for taking care of all that stuff yourself. So I wanted to break it down into some kind of categories that you may fall into. A really basic one, an intermediate one, and an advanced one. And there's not necessarily a right or wrong here. I just wanted to break it down into easy steps for you that you can start doing right now. So it's my opinion that every single Beachbody coach should do the things that are in the basic category. Now, I don't necessarily think that, at the very beginning you need to do everything that's in the intermediate and advanced, but at the very, very least, the basics. So as a coach, as an independent contractor, self-employed person, you should be, at the very least, tracking your income and expenses, and you should be saving roughly 30% for taxes later on. Now, remember how I said that there's no income taxes withheld from your Beachbody paychecks. That doesn't mean that you don't have to pay them. You still have to pay them. And since they're not withheld, that can mean that you might actually end up having to give money to the government in April during tax time instead of getting refunds like you may be used to. Now, that's not necessarily always the case, but it's better safe than sorry, right? So you can open up a savings account. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And what I like to do as a rule of thumb is 30% off the top. Like literally as soon as my check goes in, I transfer 30% of it into a savings account. And that savings account is one that I do not touch. You're not allowed to touch that savings account. You have to consider that the IRS's money for now. And track your income and expenses. This doesn't have to be very fancy. This can be as simple as just an Excel spreadsheet where you just list everything out, each paycheck with the date on one, and then on another one, anytime that you spend money on your business. So some of those things could be your coaching fees, your ticket to Summit, your hotel at Summit. If you buy gifts for your coaches, shipping of those gifts when you mail them. It could be your web hosting, if you paid for a website or for marketing materials. All of those things can be your business expenses. And those things can be written off at the end of the year to help you have to pay less taxes. So it's really important that you track them, because if you wait a whole year and then you're trying to dig through all your old bank statements and your credit card statements, and you spent money on this card and that card and this in cash and this through PayPal, it can be so confusing. So if you just do it as you go, it saves you a lot of stress later. Okay, so that's the bare minimum. Now, if you want to take it up a notch, I would say that you could do the things that are in the basic category, And then you could open a separate checking account that's linked to that separate savings and only use that checking exclusively for your business. Now, this is not necessarily something that has to do with taxes. It's more just for your own ease of mind, because it's a lot easier to find your income and your expenses at the end of the year if they're all in one bank account, instead of some ordered online, some paid through PayPal, some paid with your personal checking, some with cash that you took out. That can just be a big old mess. So if you can and you want to, open up a separate checking account with that tax savings linked to it and use those exclusively for your coaching business. Now, this may not be a great option for you right from the start. This may be something that, after you've been a coach for a little while and you start to see kind of a more significant income coming in, that becomes a good option for you, but just a good suggestion. Then for advanced, I would say do all the things in the first two categories, and then you can talk about becoming a legal business structure and hiring an accountant to manage these things for you. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing this from the start. Some people love to be really organized. I know all my emerald personality types out there are like, let's do it. Let's get organized from the beginning. Let's color code everything. And I love it. But for the rest of you, my pearls, my rubies, my sapphires, who are like, your brain is about to explode with all of this organizational talk, it's okay if you don't do this right from the beginning. But as your business grows, as it becomes a substantial income for your family, you may want to consider looking into different legal business structures to see which one can benefit you the most in the long run. And hiring an accountant just to kind of take care of all that stuff. We've hired an accountant and he ends up saving us so much more money than we end up spending on him, just because he's a professional. He knows all the different ways to do write-offs that are totally legit, won't get us in any trouble, but that help our business to make the best profit possible. So that is kind of your third advanced step that you can do. So let's talk a little bit about what an independent contractor means, because that's what all of us as coaches are. So as an independent contractor in the US, you will likely be required to know your net profit and your net loss, which just means that at the end of the year, you need to know if you made money in coaching or if you lost money. And that doesn't just mean like a grand scheme of things like, yeah, I think I made some money. You need to know actually, like, down to dollars and cents, if what you paid for coaching and the things that have to do with your coaching business was more or less than the actual paychecks you got from Beachbody. Now on the irs.gov website, it says that the magic number is if it's more or less than $400, that's the kind of tipping point for whether or not you're going to need to be doing paperwork and all this kind of stuff. But the responsibilities of this sort of thing vary by state and county. So it's your responsibility as a business owner to research your area and what you have to do. It's not necessarily the same for every single person across the United States. So these, like I was saying, the things that you'll most likely be required to do is know your net profit and your net loss, to file an income return. You may be required to pay your taxes quarterly, and you're probably going to be required to pay a self-employment tax because you're a self-employed independent contractor. Now, I know that sounds scary, but it's really, really not that bad, I promise. The biggest thing to do, excuse me, is to just be informed, to be a proactive business owner, to go to this website here and figure out, where you fall, what your responsibilities are going to be in your business and your area. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the different things that you can do as business entities. Now, this is not necessarily something that is for everyone, and that's fine, but as your business grows, this may be a really good option for you, and so I think it's really good to know about what's out there as far as sole proprietorship or incorporating as an LLC or an S Corp. Now, before I go on, I want to make a big general disclaimer. I am not an accountant or a tax professional, and so I'm only giving you the information that I know from experience and from research, but there's not one perfect answer for every business. One coach's situation can merit a certain type of business entity that another coach's situation doesn't need. So it's always the best advice for you to sit down with a tax specialist or an accountant or a financial advisor, go over your family goals, your financial goals, and your current situation, and have them kind of assess what's going to be best for you, rather than asking another coach or asking your sponsoring coach, or just strictly going off of what I say here, because it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, which is great, so don't freak out. The first one is a sole proprietorship. So this is pretty much what all of us are right now. If you're self-employed and you're an independent contractor, you're pretty much a sole proprietorship. What that means is that to the government, your money, your personal assets, the things that you own, like a car, a house, all that kind of stuff, and your business's money, so your paychecks from Beachbody, any debt that you incur as a Beachbody coach for your Beachbody business is all the same. It's all lumped into one big pool. So there are some benefits and some drawbacks, just like everything in life. The benefits of a also with a sole proprietorship, 70% of the small businesses in the United States are sole proprietorships. So this is a really, really good option for a lot of people. And I want you to think that one is like the way better option than everybody else. This is kind of where a lot of people fall. So, like I was saying, the benefits are minimal legal costs, because as a sole proprietorship, you're not really made to fill out a bunch of forms to become a legal entity like if you were going to incorporate. You are just a sole proprietorship by default. Like I was saying, you're not required to register, so that saves you a lot of money. There's an ease of accounting because you only have to file one return. You don't have to file separately as a business and as yourself because the government views it as one and the same. So the drawbacks are, the number one drawback for a sole proprietorship is that you have 100% personal liability. Since your business and you are viewed as the same thing, if something goes wrong in your business, you and your business are still viewed as the same thing. So, I mean, there's not a lot of cases. This is kind of a worst case scenario situation, but if you incurred business debts or if your business was sued, your personal assets would be at stake. So that means your house, your car, all that kind of stuff. That means that you're 100% responsible for everything that happens, good or bad, as your business. And then also, like I was saying before, one of the other drawbacks of a sole proprietorship is that you have to pay self-employment tax. So you have to pay it yourself since you're employing yourself. The other thing about a sole proprietorship, and this is a little bit morbid, but I feel like it's still a good thing to know, is that since you and your business are considered the same, if you pass away, your business kind of passes away with you. It becomes part of your personal estate to be distributed to your beneficiaries. I know it's morbid, but if your business really does grow and grow and grow and becomes a great source of income and residual income for your family, then it may be kind of something to keep in mind if you have kids and a spouse. Okay, so that is a sole proprietorship. Let's jump into the next one, which is incorporating. This is generally called an LLC, which means a limited liability corporation, or an S corp. To the government, this one means that your money and your business money are separate money. You're two different entities. So, I mean, that's obviously the biggest thing you can understand from the beginning. Now your liability is separate. So that's one of the biggest benefits, is that this limits your personal liability. So, like I was saying before, if anything happened, if your business accrued business debts, or if someone, took out a lawsuit against your business, they would only be able to come after your business's assets, not necessarily your personal ones. There's that extra level of protection. As far as taxes go, you can avoid that double taxation of having to pay income tax and self-employment tax. And sometimes you can actually get better tax rates. Now, I wrote sometimes because this really does depend on your situation and your income and your business. So this is where I would highly, highly urge you, if you're really considering this, to sit down with an accountant or a tax specialist and go over all of your stuff and figure out what would be better for you when tax season comes around. The drawbacks of an LLC or an S corp are that there's higher startup costs because there's all the legal fees of filing as a corporation. And that can sometimes be a little confusing. There's also more paperwork as far as getting started and then maintaining your corporation, especially during tax times, because you're going to have to file, your business is going to have to file, and then you will personally still have to do an income tax filing. So it gets a little bit more confusing. And at this point, I mean, unless you're a tax guru and you're really great with numbers, you're probably going to need an accountant, or you're probably going to want an accountant just to make your life easier. So that's kind of an extra thing with an S corp or an LLC. Excuse me. Okay, so let's jump over to Morgan, and she can give us the perspective for our Canadian coaches. I'm going to stop broadcasting, and Morgan's going to jump in.
All right, can you guys hear me? Just let me know. Yes? Okay. So this is crazy. I'm actually doing a business call. I'm at our other business, as you can see my sexy uniform here. Never could have I imagined I would be a business person. I am supposed to be a teacher. So this is crazy. So, oh, it still works? Okay, perfect. So when Becca asked me to do a little blurb about Canadians, I was excited. I personally, like I said, don't consider myself a business person. So what Becca just said, like my heart is racing, my brain is spinning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get on the Canada Revenue site and do more research myself. So I'm just going to cover the basics from the Canadian side. A lot of what Becca said is actually going to be repetitive for Canadians. We have sole proprietorship, we have corporations, so a lot of that stuff is going to be repetitive. So you want to take that information as well. So, all right. So the couple main things that I'm going to cover quick here. How much money should I save for tax as a Canadian? 3 things that a Canadian coach must do now that we're officially launched in Canada, and Canada links and ship time, and then kinks in the road and what to do. So Canada's a little bit different, and we all know that we officially launched. So let's get to it. Here's the things that are going to be different. Next slide. All right, how much money do I save for taxes? You know that your payment is coming direct deposit into your bank account now, and like Becca said, nothing is being deducted. I would recommend the exact same as Becca. Go 30% of your paycheck. If you think you're going to be in a higher tax bracket, I would say 40% personally, just based on if you're making income from another job, plus depending on how much you're making for Beachbody. If you really think you're going to be in that top tax bracket, go up to 40%. Starting a corporation, like Becca said, I'm going to admit that up until about a month ago, I was just good old me. I don't know. I wasn't a sole proprietorship. I wasn't a corporation. I was just a whatever. So up until that point, just now I'm incorporated because our franchise has a corporation and we just combined it all together. I don't recommend that because our books are crazy right now. But corporation is definitely something to consider, as Becca said, but I would look into it if you're very serious about this business and you're starting to make a full income. I would definitely look into that. So, so when Becca was talking about the corporation, the reason I decided to go that route is because I'm making a pretty good income in Beachbody now, and that would mean I would have to pay taxes on all of that. Now that I'm in a corporation, all my Beachbody money goes into there and I pay myself a wage. So I only have to pay taxes on the wage I take out. So I don't pay myself very much right now, so I don't have to pay as much taxes. And like Becca said, obviously make sure you talk to an accountant to figure out what's best for you and worth your time. Okay, so as a Canadian coach, or if you're signing up Canadian coaches, you need to know these 3 things, or else they or yourself are not going to get paid. And we all want to get paid. So the first thing, you need to accept the new policies and procedures for Canadians. Great thing is that pops up right away as soon as you log into your Coach Online office for the first time. Every Canadian coach needs to fill out a W-8 BEN tax form, and I'm going to go over how to do that real quick. And also, you need a direct seller's license if you are in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Manitoba, PEI, Northwest Territories, or Nunavut. If you do not have these 3 things done, you do not get paid. So make sure if you're a Canadian coach or you're signing one up, they get this done. Thankfully, they are now getting emails about this when they sign up, so it's a good thing. Okay, so this W-8 BEN tax form, I don't know why so many people are stressing over it. It's actually pretty simple. So if you haven't filled it out, make sure that's on your to-do list tonight. Go to FAQ 1233. There's this exact example in there. You can follow. You click the link. You pick if you're an individual or a corporation. The FAQ tells you exactly where the form is. Print it out, fill it out, sign it, and then you're going to send a picture of it, because it's super easy, to compliance@beachbody.com. Put your coach ID in the subject and make sure compliance emails you back and says, yes, you're good to go. Sometimes they'll say, no, you're not good to go. You missed a spot. So then just fix it up and send it back to them. Okay, so that form needs to be filled out. It's super confusing, but just follow the example and it's easy peasy. The direct seller's license is going to be different for every province. So you want to go to that FAQ 2219, and there is literally specific step-by-step instructions for every single province. So the direct seller's license for Manitoba is different than, say, PEI. So you need to go to that FAQ and find your province, and it's going to give you step-by-step instructions to get that direct seller's license. The monthly business fee for Canadians is just the conversion rate of the US, so I think it's like $18.95. All right, so Canadian links and ship times. Surprise! I had no idea the links were changing when we switched to Canada, so crazy. Everybody's telling me my links don't work. But anyways, so there's two different ways you can send links. If you have a customer, you need to figure out now if they're Canadian or US, because their links are going to differ. So that's another question you're going to have to add into your conversations. So the first way you can do is use the Coach mobile app. This is a secret little thing that not many people use, but it's actually phenomenal. They now have an option right off the bat. You can choose whether they're Canadian or US, and it'll set you up with the proper link right away. All you need to know is the fitness program they want, their Shakeology flavor, and their email. Second way you can do it is our wonderful coaching codes, but use the Canadian ones. So it's coachingcodes.ca. Okay, so you can go in there, exact same as the other coaching codes, but now you need it to Canada. So if you look at these two links, they're different for the 21-day fix. So that is why you need to know who you're sending it to. Canadian person or US person, send them the corresponding link. So ship time. This little calendar here, I'm not sure, you can sort of see it. Ship time, I say for Canada, is 10 days. It's gonna alter. So for your challenge groups, you need to plan out your months ahead of time. So in this calendar, for example, the first week of the month, I just hustle. I just, do the regular. The second month, I kind of start priming my audience with 3 posts because I want to get them sort of interested in what I'm going to be doing. The third week, I announce my challenge group. I do, probably 3 posts to announce my challenge group. And then I leave a full blank week of shipping before my pre-start. So I announce for a week, I have a blank week, and then I pre-start week. So it's not like the US where you can order in the pre-start week and have it ready to start. You need to leave that blank week for shipping because it does take longer. They are getting faster. You're right. I know some girls are like, what? I got it in like 3 days. So it is getting faster, I think, but it just depends, and I like to be safe. So allow your time that extra leeway. Know where your customers are from. All right, so this is a slide I just want to add in real quick before Becca jumps on. I know with the launch, there's been kinks in the road. All of us Canadians know that, but I wanted to kind of cover my side of things and how it really isn't that bad of a kink. So price objections. Yeah, hello, we live in Canada. The prices are the same, but now instead of people not seeing the Canadian price till their credit card statement, if they even look at their credit card statement, they see it right on the website before they order. So our prices haven't changed. All it is the conversion rate. So prices shouldn't be a big deal anyways. Shipping and taxes. There was a $5 add-on for shipping into Canada. That was not Beachbody. That was our Canada government requiring that as we cross the border with product, $5 more. So all other shipping stayed the same, so that's not a big deal. I mean, $5 here or there, whatever. And products not being available, yes. So, Ultimate Reset, 3-day refresh isn't available right now. But I know it sucks because I could use a 3-day refresh, but it's just our Canada government that we're waiting on. Beachbody has submitted all the documents needed. Trust me, they want us to sell their product. We're just waiting on our sometimes slow government to approve it. So, I mean, it's out of our control, nothing we can really complain or be mad about. All right, extra forms to fill out. So, yes, there's that W-8 Ben tax form. There's this, the direct seller's license. There's extra forms, and it's kind of annoying having your coaches do that extra stuff, but unfortunately, that's not Beachbody either. That's just our Canadian government, so it's just something we have to do. And you know what? Be the best customer service coach you can be. Make it as simple as it can be for them. Have a blank tax form ready. Have the tax form example ready. Send it to them as soon as they sign up. Be like, here, this is super easy. Go from here. I am all about making it as simple, straightforward, smooth sailing for my new coaches as possible. So anything you can do, make a quick document. Canadian new coaches, do this, this, this. That way they don't have to be lost searching around for all these things. So basically, my takeaway is that we've chosen to live in this beautiful country that has some different guidelines than the U.S. I'm so thankful that Beachbody chose our country to be the second place to launch their company in. Beachbody is so new and young and growing, and we get to be in it so early. That's just phenomenal. I feel so lucky to be a part of it. Our government obviously does things differently, so Beachbody is definitely accommodating and trying to get things as smooth as possible, as quickly as possible. So, let's just be proud of this business that we're in, and I think that's about it for me. My head's still spinning from Becca's information, but if you have any Canadian-specific information, you can always message me too, and I can do my best to answer. Okay, I'm going to stop broadcasting, Becca. You can jump back on.
Can you guys hear me or see me or anything? Can everybody hear me? All right. Okay. So I just wanted to hop back on to kind of bring it all back around. I know all of you guys are probably freaking out. That's okay. And I wanted to tell you what to do right now. Spoiler alert, it's not to freak out. So let's talk about some little things that you can do. Okay. So the things that you can do right now are to start cultivating healthier habits. As Beachbody coaches, we know how it is to tell people that they need to start working on these healthier habits in their life, whether that's, drinking Shakeology every day, doing their workouts, eating clean, whether it's getting enough water, enough sleep, all of that kind of stuff. And sometimes we forget that we need to cultivate healthy habits ourselves, not only in our health and wellness, but also in our finances. This is definitely an area that we can all work and grow on. So if you haven't been saving 30% and you haven't been keeping records, do not panic. Odds are you're going to be just fine. You have lots of time to kind of sort stuff out and get organized if you want to before April. And this is such a wonderful time to start establishing healthy habits for next year and for you to be able to teach your team from this moment forward. Okay, so I wanted to talk about just these 4 little points really quick. As coaches, you can't we tell our challengers all the time, you can't keep doing the same things and expecting different results. So for a lot of us, we got into Beachbody because the idea of the income was awesome for us. Everybody has different financial situations, but I know for me, I wanted to create income for my family, and that was a big deal. But more money in doesn't always mean more money if you're not a good steward with that money. So I had to work on cultivating healthier habits than what I had before I was a coach. And that's kind of why I think doing these simple things of tracking your expenses and your income, putting away savings for taxes is a great start, because once you get good at those simple disciplines, just like the slightage and everything else in your life, it's going to trickle into so many other areas. You're going to start getting excited about saving in general, and maybe you're gonna start saving for retirement, or start saving for that family vacation, or for a house, or whatever, and you're gonna realize, like, oh my gosh, I can actually do so much more when I know what's happening with my money and when I'm paying attention to it, instead of just letting it flow in and out without really monitoring it at all. So don't continue to live in the same unhappy financial habits that you were in before coaching. Coaching is an amazing opportunity for you, for your health, for your wellness, for community, for your soul, but also for your finances. And I think that it's kind of the last area that everybody talks about, but I think that it's so important to show people by example how to be financially healthy as much as it is to be physically healthy. I think also for those of you guys with kids, I know for me, this was a really big aha moment, is what relationship with money do I want my son to have as he grows up? Do I want him to have this like willy-nilly kind of idea of money where it's like, oh, I think I have enough and I'm just kind of spending without really paying attention and I don't really save. And so I just make stuff work when it happens and, oh, we can just throw that on a credit card. No, that is the bad habits that I had before, and I want that to end with me. I don't want that to move on to him and his future. So for me, it was a huge conviction to start getting my finances straight now so that I could teach him healthy habits. And I think that if you have solid belief in what the Beachbody opportunity is for you, you can't overlook this. Because if you really believe that you can build a substantial income with Beachbody, then you can't overlook the fact that that means that you're going to have to be responsible for that money, and you're going to have to be a good steward with it, not only for you, but also for, you know, your kids and that future generation. So I want everybody right now to take a deep breath, everybody, and just relax, because you are going to be fine. The simple baby steps that you can start doing right now are just to start tracking your income and expenses from this point forward. This Thursday, when you get your paycheck, write down the date and the dollar amount in an Excel spreadsheet, and that will be the start of you tracking your income. Also, if you spend any money on something for Beachbody, write that down too. And that's as simple as it is. And then when you get your paycheck, just take a little bit out. 30% is a good number to kind of just aim for, and put that in a savings account. If you end up over saving and in April you don't have to pay all that money, then awesome. You have extra money saved away that you can, you know, roll into a different goal of yours. There's really not a downside. So I just want to give you guys, you know, a little bit of a positive note to end on. Nobody needs to freak out. This is just, you know, learning how to be responsible business owners, learning how to be responsible with the financial gift that this coaching opportunity gives to us, not only for ourselves, but for our family. And so that we can end, as much as we want to end the trend of obesity as coaches, we also can work towards ending the trend of financial irresponsibility. And we can kind of work towards being the people that teach other people how to succeed in this area as much as in the other ways of their life. So thank you guys so much for letting me and Morgan talk. I really appreciate it. I'm super honored to be on this call. It was a dream board thing for me, so I'm just freaking out that I get to check it off today. And I'm going to hand it over to Lindsay to close us out. So thank you.
Hey guys, so I wanted to jump on real quick, but Becca pretty much just covered everything that I was wanting to say. And everything that was covered in the call is to prepare you to be mentally ready to jump into the mentality of a business owner. So for those of you guys who are just starting out, don't worry, you are not going to get some thousands of dollar tax bill just because you sign up as a coach from the IRS. Actually, my first year in coaching, it saved me a ton of money from all the write-offs that I could have off any income I made outside of Beachbody. So don't stress about that kind of stuff. What we're trying to get you in the habit of early, right from the get-go, is creating those great habits to help you, to help yourself and to help you help your future coaches, and getting in that habit of writing down those expenses, and even to the point maybe where you're making a few $100s a week where you start to have the separate accounts, and then eventually when you're making $500 to $1,000 a week, maybe thinking about an LLC or S Corp. It's sort of just getting you in the mindset of that business owner and preparing yourself for the harvest that you're going to have if you continue to grow this business. So definitely for those of you who this kind of blew over your mind, you're like, holy crap, I didn't realize I had to do all that. You don't. It took me 2.5 to 3 years before I created an S Corp for my business, and there was absolutely no reason for me to have it before then. It didn't make any benefit tax-wise for me until that point. But when you start to make over 6 figures, it does start to make more sense. And I'm an LLC that's not, yeah. So I'm an LLC that files as an S Corp. That's what we're under. That was the tax advice that we got. But however, just like they said, anything that we gave out to you guys today is all has variables in it. So what you would want to do is, if you are making a significant amount of income with Beachbody and you're going to be using an accountant, is to go to that person and explain your personal situation. Maybe you guys have other jobs that go into account. Maybe this is your sole income. I don't know. So we really can't tell you, but I wanted to give you as much information. And I know that's what the girls were trying to do to prepare you to deal with your own business. However, for my babies out there, for the new coaches, don't stress. If you don't make over $600 in this calendar year, you're not even going to get a 1099 in the mail. So you don't have to worry about that. But in the future year, when you set all these amazing goals, prepare for yourself to start to track what you're spending on your coaches and your business so that you can write that off and save it on your taxes. Anyway, great job, Becca and Morgan. I know it was Morgan's our second call, Becca's first. They did unbelievable. I'm so proud of these girls, and it was great new information.